got it. Go to group me. I see Noah Stranahan's motivational message from yesterday. All right. Ready to go. I don't know why it never runs live video on my YouTube when I have it pulled up at the same time. It's so much fun. Let me shut that off. All right. You ready, Dallas?
Yeah.
All righty. Well, welcome back. We are here on episode number 20. We've made it to 20 years old. I'm just kidding. We've made it to 20 episodes this year. It is just me and Dallas today. We are your hosts to what I have proclaimed as the SMC show guide to college basketball in 2023. So as we all know, conference tournaments and the NCAA tournament are right around the corner. We are just a little over a month, a couple weeks away from these tournaments happening. So today, we didn't really have much to talk about in other sports since a lot are in the off season or it kind of just coming out of the All-Star break in the NBA. So we're going to do some college basketball guides for all you who are getting ready to start looking at teams, looking at your brackets. You know, I'm not saying our picks are going to be completely correct, but I'm saying we are pretty seasoned at what we've done this season or at what we've done this year. So we've looked around, we've done our research, and we're here to do it. So, Dallas, I think I only had it as like one team to start, but I mean, if it's just you and me, I think maybe we can go like 3 to 4 teams for each. So first off, this is the first category I had. This is called the Goliaths of college basketball in 2023. These are teams who have been outstanding, phenomenal, any adjective you can use for great this year in their division, in their quad one wins. Let's just go through them and let's see who we had here. If you'd like to go first, feel free to.
Yeah, so if we're obviously a lot of categories here. So Goliaths, I'll just do 4 teams I think have been probably the top 4 teams in the nation so far this season. And we have to have Houston in there right now at 26-2. They're a very good team. Only 4-1 in the quad one, which is a little bit concerning, but that's just due to conference play and not having enough conference quad one opponents. But it doesn't matter. You see in the previous years that doesn't hurt Houston come tournament time. They always play defense. They always can score. They always go far in the tournament, even though their conference isn't the best. You have to put Alabama up there as well. They've been pretty dominant this year in the SEC. 8-3 in the quad one. They have plenty of quad one games, 11 quad one games. Purdue is my third team. Most surprising, I'd say, this year, considering the freshman guards in the backcourt and the way Zach East played, player of the year. And then the last team has got to be Kansas. When you look at this team, you say, oh, they don't have that great of guard play. Oh, they don't have a big guy. Well, all it's led them to is 13 quad one wins, most in the nation. They're 13-5 overall in quad one. easily the most quad one games played of everybody since they are in the Big 12. And they keep winning somehow. So they
They
have to be
also
a
have a
dog.
strength of schedule ranking of 1.
Yeah, their schedule has been crazy, and they're 23-5 overall. I mean, this team is just somehow, some way, really good. Even though you can't really pick out. Obviously, Jalen Wilson's up there in the Player of the Year category, but
He
when you
kind of
look at the
cooled
rest
down
of
over
the
the past few games, though. I mean, he's not putting up
yeah,
40s anymore. I mean, but
everybody just contributes on this team in a little way, and they just a winning formula. I don't know what it is, but they just find a way.
yeah. All right. Well, I feel like there's a few teams that I'm probably going to repeat on this in this. Of course, Alabama currently sitting at 11-3 in quad one wins. They have had a rough stretch. They took a couple losses here and there, but I think they're probably the team you're looking at the SEC to be the dominant force. The Houston Cougars sitting at 26-2. 4 out of 4 and 1 in quad one wins is a little concerning, like you said, Dallas. But I think, at the end of the day, they're a really good team, a really well-coached team. They have a lot of talent, and they're a very deep team. I'm actually going to go away. No, you can't go away from Kansas. With the strength of schedule as a 1, and a strength of record as 1, with 13-5 in quad one wins and 23-5 overall. So I mean, all 5 of your losses are quad one loss. They have to be one of the best teams. And I'm trying to decide if I'm going to go away from Purdue here. I think I might actually. I'm kind of looking a team that's caught my eye throughout the year. Has to be the Arizona Wildcats sitting at 24-4. I think they're tied right now with UCLA in the Pac-12 standings, I believe. I believe they are. But they are 6-1 in quad wins. They do have their strength of schedule and their strength of record. Their strength of record is actually really good at a 7, but their strength of schedule is at a 62. But when you look at it, the UCLA is only at a 50, but they're 4-3. They're 4-3, so they've both played the same amount of quad one games. But I think Arizona has an ability and a level and a ceiling that they can unlock. I believe there's a lot of really good players. I did highlight one a couple weeks ago in Tabuelas. I think there's a lot of really good players on that team. I think it's just a team genuinely that showed early in the season they could beat an Indiana team who many people thought was much better than them, was going to have a longer and better record going through the season. But I genuinely think that this is a team that you're looking at saying they're really good. They're probably going to continue to get better as their tournament goes on. They'll probably be really good in the Pac-12. So I think they're the team to highlight over a team like Purdue, who has seemingly lost their footing for a lot of people. I know they're still on the one line in bracketology, but I feel like a lot of people have lost that faith and strength that they had going into a couple weeks ago with Purdue. So that's why I would shift Arizona in over Purdue. The next category, we can do 3 to 4 teams again. This one is called flying under the radar. These are teams that maybe not everyone's watched this year. Maybe not everyone's realized how good they are, where they sit at right now. And honestly, they could be some of the biggest people to shake up all of the NCAA tournament as well as their conference tournaments. Would you like me to go first, or would you like to go first, Dallas?
I mean, if you want to go first, you can. I don't really doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'll go first. My first one I want to highlight is a team out of the SEC. I know the SEC and the Big 12 have been probably one of the highest touted conferences this year, with a lot of teams winning, a lot of really good teams. A team that has kind of flown under the radar. They're currently sitting at 20-8 with a strength of record at 17. The Missouri Tigers. I know they're 6-8 in quad one wins. I know that they're not very good on paper. But this team is very deep. As you all know, and as Dallas is here too, we watch a lot of SEC basketball, a lot more than we probably bargained for some weeks. They're a really good team, a really strong team. Their strength of schedule is actually a 32. And comparing that to some of the other teams, UConn's at a 36, Virginia's at a 55. So they've played really tough games, and they've proven that they can play in really tough games. Kobe Brown, I think that's his name, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he is a great player, fantastic player for them. It's just a genuinely interesting team to watch. Damori Hodge, also a really good player. I think the thing about this team is they're not like gonna overwhelm you. There's not a lot of guys who go crazy and they play crazy and they score 50 points per game. They're all just really good key contributors, and they're a team right now that sits in the bracketology. I believe they're currently projected by ESPN in the. I'm trying to find them. I think they're on the 7 line. I thought they're on the 10 line right now, but on the 10 line, they'd be facing a team like a Duke. If you're looking at a matchup like that, that's a tough game for Duke. Duke, a Power Five or considered blue blood team. Then they would face Texas in the next game. I think they give Texas a tough time. I don't think they let up anything easy. They collect themselves well on defense. I'm trying to look for their Ken Palm rankings right now. Missouri. They not in the top 25.
Missouri's 63rd in the Ken Palm right now.
Okay. They do have the number 10 offense, but their defense has been lacking. They do sit at number 195. So I think maybe you're looking at that. I don't know if everyone knows, but in Ken Palm, you want to be close to the 25 and 25. That's the rule for most teams. So 25th in offense, 25th in defense, somewhere close in that range. Usually the 25, the 50 to 50s are really good. Means you're going to be a solid tournament team. So my first team is Missouri for flying under the radar. And then I think there's another team looking at some of these teams here that they have projected in the tournament that a lot of people have kind of either missed out on watching this year or just kind of haven't watched. The Miami Hurricanes, 6-3 in quad one wins. They sit at a number 10 strength of schedule or strength of record this year. They're 23-5. They're really good in ACC play. They've beat a lot of the premier ACC teams this year. So I think they're a really good team to watch. They also have the same amount of losses as Virginia Cavaliers. So I think that's an interesting conversation. But saying everyone said Virginia is better than everyone else in the ACC, but you look at Miami and they're just as good. On paper, they're going to be a really tough team to play. I wouldn't want to see them in the tournament, to be honest. Their shooting is something nothing short of crazy. As Rishi knows, that's his guy. Isaiah Wong, he loves him to death. Has ridden with them since last year. He might have had some hot takes about him last year that didn't pan out. I'm trying to look where they are in. They're the sixth best offense in the nation right now in Ken Palm rankings, but they are 112th in defense. So you'd be looking for them to improve defensively. But also, in the tournament, it is a time where you can go and shoot your way through the tournament, play really tough. They're a good team to watch. And I think a team everybody should probably keep on their radar when you're creating your brackets. Another team that I think everyone has kind of missed out on this year, coming from the Mountain West Conference, Utah State has kind of climbed their way up their rankings. They're currently 22-7, but they have the 19th ranked offense and the 85th ranked offense in all of college basketball. I think they're a tough team. If you look at them, they'll probably end up being on the, what would you say, 13 line? I think that's where they are right now, the 13 line. Yeah, that's Utah Valley. Where's Utah State?
Utah State is actually in the first 4 out right now.
Okay, well, yeah, they're in the first 4 out. But I'd say, if they win their tournament, make a deep run, they could get a minority bid. They win that tournament. I think this is a team you're looking at that could scare a lot of people. I don't know. I think Boise State's leading the Mountain West right now, right?
San Diego State, I believe.
San Diego State. So it might be tough for them to get in, but if they could make that play-in game, I think they're a team that a lot of people should be talking about to cause some problems. Who played in the play-in game last year? And someone ran the table out of the play-in game. Like they were a problem.
Well, 2 years ago, UCLA played the play-in game and made the Final Four.
Yes. So I think there's a lot of people that always say the play-in games are these teams that are lower end. It's not always true. A lot of these teams are high quality teams that, just unfortunately don't get as many bids as the larger conferences do. So I think they're a team to watch for. I'm trying to hit some different conferences. I think a big team a lot of people have missed out on in the CUSA, it's Florida Atlantic, 25-3 currently. But this is the part that that success factor we talk about. They're currently ranked 36 in offense and 50th in defense. So I think looking at that, that is a team that is a pretty solid, rounded team. I don't know their stats off the top of my head, but I think that's a team you're looking at. They're currently ranked 25th in ESPN strength of record. They only have one quad one win, which is tough to say that, they're a tough team to look at or they're a tough team to play. But I think they've held a lot of teams. Janelle Davis leads their team. They have three guys that are they have three guys in double digit scoring. But I think they're a really good team. Their 3-point shooting percentage as a team is really good this season. They sit at almost 40%, 37.2, and they're averaging about, I hate when they don't do per game stats. They're averaging 2.5 blocks per game, but 6.5 steals per game. So I think you probably are looking at a really good defensive team, a tough team to play in the tournament, and a team that I think a lot of people will say, oh, if they're facing a big team, that big team will crush them. But as a lot of people know, these tournament teams are tough. They're always there to play. So I think they're a tough team that a lot of people should be keeping on their radar. But they have flown under their radar until now.
Yeah, so I'll just piggyback off of you real quick because one of my teams was also the Miami Hurricanes. I believe in tournament time, you see this last year when you go back to North Carolina. You're like, why did North Carolina make a run last year? They do have a massive big guy in Armando Bacot, but he is not the one who carried them last year. Caleb Love and RJ Davis, the guard play is what carried North Carolina last year in the tournament. And when you look at Miami Hurricanes, you have Nigel Pack, Isaiah Wong, and Jordan Miller. Those three guys right there are going to be scoring guards. They're so hard to guard because any one of them can get theirs at any certain time. So that's why I believe Miami will make a good run in the NCAA tournament. And so I'll try to pick three other teams here. I'll go to the CUSA conference, and I will go UAB. I don't know if they will win this conference.
Well, FAU's leading it.
Yeah, so Florida Atlantic is very good. But if you want to go to a second team in this conference, North Texas is 14-4, second place in the conference as well. We've seen them obviously beat Purdue in the tournament 2 years ago, so they are obviously a really good team as well. But UAB, this team won the Conference USA last year. They only lost, I believe it was one or two players. They gained a key transfer, and they have a guy by the name of Jelly Walker who can give you 30 a night. Last night he had 32, I believe. This dude is really hard to guard. So if you can guard him and shut him down so he can score 20, 25, you have a good chance of winning, but he can go off for 30, 40 any night. And I believe that they are a sleeper in the Conference USA. Obviously, if I had to pick a team to win it right now, it'd be Florida Atlantic. They are really good. But UAB is a team to look out for there. And then I'm going to the Summit League as well, and I'm going with Oral Roberts. This team is very familiar with the NCAA tournament as well. They were a 15 seed 2 years ago, and what do? Oh, just beat Ohio State, 2 seed, and then what do they do the next round? Oh, they just beat Florida. They go to the Sweet 16. You look at them; they're 17-0 in their conference right now. They're 26-4 overall. And what do they have? They still have a guy by the name of Max Amos, who is their league scorer and played on that tournament team. You go back to some of their losses earlier in the season. They lose at New Mexico, which is a tough team. That
was a quad one loss.
The first game of the season was an 8-point loss to St. Mary's, and then they took a really bad loss.
They got blown out by Houston.
Yeah, and then a loss at Utah State. When you look at all four of those losses, what do they have in common? All those teams are good, and they're all on the road. And in the NCAA tournament, we're not on the road. We're a neutral site. It's a different environment. So Oral Roberts is a sneaky team, especially if they can sneak into that 14-13 line. I think a 4
I just want to back up some of what you're saying currently. Just for anyone at home saying that we're probably crazy talking about all these small teams, I'm going to tell you who Oral Roberts, what ESPN has ranked in SOR, which is strength of record. They have them ranked over Mississippi State, Pittsburgh, Utah State, Penn State, North Carolina, the USC Trojans, Michigan, UCF, Cincinnati, Pitt, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Clemson. These teams that are really good teams, they are ranked over them. So I just want that to be noted. I just wanted to help your cause out, Dallas.
Thanks, I appreciate it. And one last team here. I'm going to slide to the Big Ten here. And I haven't watched much of this team lately because earlier in the season they weren't that good, but I need to tune in some more games. And it's the Maryland Terrapins. If you look at the last, I believe, since 2002, the national championship winner has been at least 22nd in offense and 40th in defense. Well, this Maryland team is just right on the cusp of being right there. They're 29th in offense, 28th in defense in the Big Ten. They have guys that can score the ball. I mean, they have Reese, they got Young. So this team is interesting. I will say I haven't watched much of them, but seeing this and what they've been doing recently, winning games in the Big Ten, I believe this team could be a dangerous team come bracketology, especially if they get on that 8 and 9 line, which they usually are around that range. Right now, they're on the 7 line. They face Auburn in the first round, which would be a very interesting game to watch because the winner of that game right now is projected to play UCLA in the second round. I think either one of those teams could give UCLA a heck of a run.
I wanted to do an honorable mention because I feel like this was a tough category because there were a lot of really good teams that we both liked. So, do you have an honorable mention off the top of your head right now, or would you like me to give mine?
My honorable mention, I don't know if this is a sleeper or not, but they talk about the Big East. You talk about Connecticut, you talk about Xavier, you talk about Creighton, but my favorite team in the Big East is Marquette. I think Marquette is my honorable mention. They're third best offense in the country right now, 64th in defense. So if they can just itch that up just a little bit at the end of the season, they're going to be right where you want to be come tournament time.
Yeah, mine is the Iowa State Cyclones. I know they're 17-10 right now. A lot of people are looking at this, but I want to point out a Ken Baum stat that a lot of people don't look at, which is opponent offense and defense. So they rank. Iowa State has played considerably in they do all their rankings, balance it out. They've played the number 2 offense is their average offensive ranking, and they're playing the number 14. So the second best offense is who they're playing every week, and the 14th best defense, which averages out to 5. But I think this shows you that this team is good. They've been disciplined. I know they're 8th in defense. Offense has struggled. They're 92nd in offense. But I think they're a team that you look at in the Big 12 tournament saying, yes, this team could win. This team could get hot. I think they're a team that if they come in on a lower line, I wouldn't want to see them in a low line. I think that's where a lot of people would freak out and be like, yeah, Iowa State, we do not want to – that's a team everyone's circling. Currently, they're sitting on the 4 line. I don't know how long they hang out there. But looking at that, right now, Indiana plays Oral Roberts in the first round, and Iowa State plays Yale. So like we said, Oral Roberts is a team to watch. They could probably upset Indiana, I would say. And then Iowa State's a good team. I mean, the only team they'd face, I think, that could cause them problems. Rutgers and Houston are in that bracket, as well as you do have Texas and Marquette. Now I'm looking at it. That might be the toughest bracket. Northwestern's in there. I mean, if that bracket pans out, I don't know who I'm picking to come out of the Midwest at all. I'm probably rolling a dice on somebody, honestly. But I just want to give an honorable mention because I think some of these teams are so interesting. But then it also goes into my next segment. Actually, we're going to skip this segment, Dallas, because I want to come back to it because I feel like we just talked about that. This is frauds to watch for in college basketball in 2023. These could be top teams. These could be teams that have been hyped up this year. Teams that we think will fall below what people think they are when it comes down to win or go home. So Dallas, if you'd like to start out fraud watch, or I'd like to start it out, I'm ready to go whenever.
Uh, so a few of the teams I have in this, I have man, this is tough. I have Gonzaga in there. I when you look at Gonzaga, you say, "Oh, well, they're first in offense in the country." Well, yes, they're first in offense, but you go to some of their games, they're going to give up a ton. And if they face a good defensive team, their offense is going to be held limited, and the other team is going to score pretty much however they want. So I think Gonzaga. I don't think they're going to have a good run this year. Another team is Tennessee as well. I think we've seen this come last few weeks. Their offense is just too inefficient to hold up with their first ranked defense in the country. Tournament time, defense is going to be nice, but you're going to have to score some points to win these games. Then one more, it's tough looking at some of these teams and saying who's frauds, who's not, because a lot of them have a lot of losses and things like that. But if you go down, trying to see here. I'm not sure. I want to put Connecticut in this category just a little bit. I know they have the formula to win, but I've seen a little bit of them. They have spurts where they don't look like Connecticut at all. So I think that's going to hurt them come tournament time if they have one of these issues come tournament time. Some games they can't score. Some games their defense is bad. And then other games they both click. So you can't have on and off nights in the tournament. You're going to have to be on the whole tournament. I don't think they will be.
I'm gonna agree. I agree with some of the teams you chose, but I'm gonna say I'm gonna choose different teams, just to be honest. The first team, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of stick for this already. The Indiana Hoosiers, I believe, are probably one of the biggest teams going into this tournament that I will be fading. Simply to look at what they've done this season, they're great. Give them their flowers where they deserve it, but they are a one-dimensional team to say the least. You look at the team, they're currently ranked 19th in SOR by ESPN, and they're currently ranked 25th at the 25 overall offense and a 43rd first defense. But their quad one wins is where I feel they probably are a little lackadaisical. 8 and 9 in quad one. I'm going to mind you that the Michigan State Spartans are 8 and 8 in quad one wins. So they do have one less game that they've played in quad one. But the Indiana Hoosiers have truly not jumped off the page. I think when you see them play top end talents, they've lost. When you look, they played Arizona early in the season, they lost. Like Kansas, they lost. But then they've had concerning stretches where they've been basically beat the brakes off of them. Iowa beat them in a tough, tight game. Northwestern beat them. Penn State beat them by almost 20. Northwestern beat them again. They took a loss last week by 15 to Michigan State. And then tomorrow they go into Purdue. And then they close the season out with an Iowa team that they've lost to and a tough Michigan team that always seems to put up problems. I think the problem for me is the reliance of Trace Jackson Davis. I think you get to a tournament game and you're looking at a top 50 defense. A top 50 defense knows to shut him down and then let others shoot. So I think if you're putting them in a tournament game for me, I'm probably saying that I think they're gonna crumble under the pressure. I don't think they're gonna be able to shoot as well as we think they are. I think everyone's gonna rely on Trace Jackson Davis, and he's great, but I think he's undersized. You face a larger center. You've seen he's had some struggles. He struggled against teams who don't really have centers too. Kansas, he seemed to struggle. I just think you're looking at them. Rishi says they're the best pound for pound team in all of Indiana. Might have the best pound for pound team, best player names in the tournament. And for that reason, I'm high on them. Great. They have great names, but I don't know if I have the faith and the trust of these players. So for me, I'm fading them going into the tournament. This is tough. I gotta pick some of these teams. I know I'm going to get a lot of stick for this one too. Brendan Wheat's going to absolutely. I'm about to bash the Big Ten, by the way. I'm so sorry about this. Illinois. I'm fading the Illinois Fighting Illini. I don't know what it is. They haven't been impressive to me. The players they have are good. I know they're currently ranked third in SOR. But looking at the teams that are better than them, Maryland's better than them. Northwestern's better than them. Michigan State's better than them. They're 6-8 in quad one losses. Some of these losses are at the hands of Virginia, Texas. They beat Texas early in the year. Then they had a struggle. They faced Penn State, Missouri. They lost at Northwestern. They lost to IU. They've lost to Iowa. They've lost to Penn. They've lost to IU twice. So for that, I mean, I just think they're under the mark for me. I think it's a good team. I think there's a lot of players that are probably good parts, but this team's just falling apart, it feels like. Terrence Shannon is the guy they've had to really lean on. They have good players, but at the end of the day, like Dallas and I have said, you can't rely on Coleman Hawkins to be a great player every single game. So for me, like I said, I think their kryptonite is just once again the fact that they are an inexperienced team, to say the least. Some of these guys have played at a high level, but I feel like if you put them up in a pound for pound game against some of these teams that are on those 7-10 or the 5-12 lines, I think they're just going to beat them flat out. Like, I just think that those teams have better shooting, they have better defense. So I think for me, pound for pound, they're probably going to lose. I know I'm going to get some flack for this one too. Wow, I'm just ripping big teams today. Jeez, I'm on a roll. This one's tough. I struggled with this earlier, Dallas. I'm struggling. Also, I'm struggling to find their ESPN ranking. The Duke Blue Devils currently sitting at 20-8, but 5-5 in quad one. We talked about this Duke team a lot at the beginning of the season. Once again, just a very lackluster team. I think people have looked at the ACC and said, well, the ACC's good. The ACC's okay. It's okay. It's like, but Duke is currently sitting at 11-6. These are the teams above them: North Carolina State, Clemson, Pittsburgh, Virginia, Miami. They're 20-8. Their losses are some concerning ones. They took an 11-point loss at Wake Forest. They took a 24-point loss at North Carolina State. They've taken losses at Virginia Tech and Clemson in close games. But then recently they lost to Miami. They lost to Virginia. And they're only scraping out tight wins. They closed the season out in Virginia Tech and NC State before an ACC tournament. And to me, I just think you're looking at Virginia, Miami, North Carolina State. These teams, to me, will be better suited for the ACC tournament. And I think this team has just still not grown into what they were supposed to be. They were supposed to be a top 5 perennial powerhouse this year. Dariq Whitehead's only averaging 8.6 points. Mark Mitchell's doing all he can. It is truly the Kyle Filipowski show and the Jeremy Roach show and the Tyrese Proctor show. So, they're going to be a tough team to play, I think. Nevertheless, they're athletic. They're really good. But I just don't think they're going to match up, like I said, in that pound for pound update. So, it's just tough to say. Rishi, you will get your Kentucky update from Alex in a little bit. It will show up. It's coming. I promise. But now back to the topic that we skipped, legitimate tournament threats. So these are teams that I'm thinking about for, conference tournaments, but also I'm thinking about in the bigger realm of the NCAA tournament. These are teams we're just thinking are efficient. They're really good. They're going to be a tough matchup, like we've said in the term pound for pound matchup. So teams that are just going to match up really good against any team that they run into. I think that's where we want to talk about these teams, kind of explore them, give them their flowers, because some of them have been absolutely obliterated in the public media. But Dallas, who are you giving your legitimate tournament threats to, and why?
So I have two. I'll think of another one, but right now I got to talk about UCLA. Leading the Pac-12 right now, 22nd in offense, second in defense. They'll match up with anybody in the nation. They probably have the defensive player of the year in Jalen Clark. Tiger Campbell runs the show very well. And then you got Jaime Jaquez as well. You got these guys that just play their role, know their role. The offense moves better than other teams, what I've seen. But they move the ball well. They know how to play basketball. And then the second team I have is Texas. I think this team matches up very well with everybody else. Like I said, guard play. You have Tyrese Hunter and Marcus Carr. Any one of them can play defense. They can go get their own bucket. Timmy Allen has been unbelievable. Transfer Serge Jabari Rice has the best pump fake in college basketball. If you want to write that down, best pump fake maybe of all time. It's up there. It's really good. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out Serge Jabari Rice pump fake. He'll get everybody with that. Everybody's jumping up in the air. And then let's see. Trying to think of one more team here that I think can make a run. I'll go Big East here and say Creighton right now. Creighton's starting to play better. And when you look at their starting five, they match up size-wise and everything with literally everybody in the country. Kalkbrenner is 7-footer, shoots 70+% from the field. They got Nebhard. They got Trey Alexander. They got these guys that really play well. And even though I'm worried about their depth come tournament time, the starting five is so good and will play so many minutes anyway. I think they can be dangerous and make a run. But the Creighton team that started out the season was good. You don't want to see the middle of the road Creighton team. They had a little bit of struggle. They're 18-10 right now, but they're on fire as of recently. They beat some of the teams in the Big East that you're talking about, UConn and Xavier and them, who are very tough teams. So I think Creighton could be an interesting team, especially if they shoot it well.
Yeah. All righty. Those are some good teams. I'm not going to lie. The first team I have, of course, we're going back to the SEC. I think the toughest team you look at from a I don't want to play you standpoint is the Arkansas Razorbacks. This Eric Musselman-led team has been nothing short of fantastic the past few years, and this team is really good. They have been inhibited by the fact that they have been missing Trevor Brazili and Nick Smith Jr. They've only played 18 combined games this year. So you really haven't seen this team at its full force all the time. But at the end of the day, Ricky Council, the fifth, is fantastic. Anthony Black, fantastic. They're a good defensive team. Anthony Black averages 2 steals per game. And they keep the turnovers fairly low, I feel like. Their shooting has been a concern, but I think you look at them as a tournament time team, probably a really fully healthy team once the SEC tournament comes around. So they're going to be a tough team. They're a team that I'm looking at. As a Kentucky fan, I've watched them play Kentucky. They're a tough team to play. They're pressure, they get tight. They're willing to stay with you all game long. And I think they're genuinely just a team that everyone is like kind of on the fence about. Their adjusted defense, they currently sit at 12th in KenPom, but 50th in offense. So they're in that 50-50, like I was saying. I'm going to go back to what Dallas said. I know you brought them up in possibly their frauds to watch for. But I think the UConn Huskies are genuinely a really good team. I know they've had their footing has stumbled in moments, and they maybe haven't been as good as we all thought they were going to be. 21-7, 8-5. I know they lost a couple games. They had a stretch, Marquette, St. John's, Seton Hall, but I feel like they're a good team. They have I think their roster is well balanced. I mean, you could say that. They're a well-balanced roster. They have a lot of good players. I think they're a team that will only get better under the pressure. It seems like they perform when the pressure is put on them this season, but they've also crumbled under it. So, it's kind of a tough ask, but, in KenPom, they are sitting at currently, I gotta find them. Where are they? I swear I just saw them. Oh,
5th.
Oh, yeah, they're 5th, and so they're 5th and off. They're 5th and overall.
Yeah.
I just saw the rating, and I'm sorry.
8th offense, 21st.
8th offense, 21st defense. So they are in the 25-25, which usually is a sign of, they're a top team. And then I'm going to back you up, Dallas, with Texas. I think Texas is probably one of the best teams in the whole tournament or in the whole nation. I know there's been a lot of college attention fired towards them as of recently as a national title contender, a national title favorite. So they're going to be really good, and I think at the end of the day, you'll probably see them do a lot of good things going into the tournament, and I think they could even win their conference tournament. I think they'll probably end up schooling a lot of these teams with just the sheer talent they have and the sheer manpower they have. But Dallas, I know we've already touched on some of these teams, but I kind of wanted to give the people at home the non-Power 5 monsters. I feel like non-Power 5 basketball might be the most underrated basketball this year because a lot of these teams are super good. So just give me your two or three non-Power 5 monsters that you think everyone should be definitely watching for or keeping a very close eye on going into the tournament.
All right. So if anybody has watched this show throughout the season and we've talked about college basketball, there's a team that's really, really good that I absolutely love out of the WCC. If you can't talk about St. Mary's, then you got to come on now. St. Mary's is probably the best non-Power 5 team in the nation right now. Obviously, you look at the quad one and say, oh, well, they don't have too much in the quad one, 2-1 in the quad one. Well, the conference below is really bad, but you look at the quad one wins. They've already beat Gonzaga. They've beat some of the other teams that they played, and they play Gonzaga this weekend as well. So that'll be a huge test for them to see if they can sweep Gonzaga in the regular season. You look at some of these teams like Houston and them and say, well, the conference is bad. Well, that really hasn't hurt them come tournament time. The years past, these teams usually do well in tournament time, especially if they have good quad one wins and they're over 500 in the quad one when they play against quad one. That means they are still up to the challenge of facing these teams and beating them. I moved down to the Mountain West now.
Did you have Houston as your one of your non-Power 5 monsters?
I'm not going to pick Houston. They're too good to have as a. I won't pick them, but obviously they are a non-Power 5 monster. But I go down the Mountain West, and I've picked this team to get upset multiple times throughout the season in hot takes. And guess what? They've ruined me multiple times. San Diego State is the best Mountain West team right now. I think they're sitting 46th in offense, 16th in defense. I think they're another team that's flying under the radar as a good team. They keep winning. They're a very good team. So I could see them making some noise. And let's see here. I want to get one more in here, but obviously Florida Atlantic is a good non-Power 5. But I want to go down to somebody we haven't talked about, and that is the A-Sun. I'm going to talk about the Liberty Flames. They are always come around tournament time. They always sneak into the tournament. They always have potential of upsetting teams. They've done it in the past. I think they can do it this year. Liberty is a very solid team. Obviously, it's all about winning the conference tournament for them, but I think they can get it done.
Yeah, well, thank you for stealing one of my schools. I appreciate that. That was awesome. I love that. Every moment of it. I had the Liberty Flames on there as well. Like Dallas said, really good team, really tough team to match up against. I think they're probably just going to be a decent team. But I'm gonna pick some people that the Mountain West Conference is hard, man. A lot of these teams are good, but I'm looking at Nevada. They're 38-38 in KenPom, which is just absolutely money for a team like them. So I think if they make a run in their tournament, they continue to stay hot. I think they might beat out Utah State, even though I might have had Utah State on here earlier. Did I? Yeah, I did. So they might just beat them out. They're a tough team to look at. But then I'm gonna mention a team that maybe hasn't been uttered since they are murmured since they lost some of their key players to the transfer portal, but also to the NBA draft. That is the Memphis Tigers. They are currently sitting at 35-53 in 21-7. I believe they lead the American Conference. I think they do. I really,
Houston.
Oh,
Houston.
I forgot they're in there with Houston. But I think they're a good team. Around tournament time, you'll see them kind of make a push. We all do know that Penny Hardaway is the coach. So, Penny Hardaway's always been a famous college basketball legend for making pushes close to the tournament. So I think they're an interesting team to watch out for. But it's going to be interesting. I think these non-Power 5 teams could end up running the tournament again. We all remember the St. Peter's fiasco from last year. I think there's one of those teams in there. I don't know who I'm going to pick. I'll probably tell you closer to the tournament, but these teams are going to be tough to play, and I think no one's going to want them. There's going to be a lot of those teams a lot of Power 5 teams at some of these big schools like Duke and Kentucky see, and they go, please. They're sitting there on Selection Sunday like, if you give me one of those, we're probably done for. But it's going to be a good to see. I did want to do, I know we did it a couple weeks ago where we highlighted college basketball players to watch. But this one's I just called this know this name. These are people close to the tournament that you'll see probably step up. We maybe have said a few of them already going through. But give me your players that you think are going to be crucial to teams, and they're going to help out. They don't technically have to be tournament teams, but if they are, it's always helpful.
Yeah, so obviously I've highlighted a few guys like Oral Roberts, Max Amos, UAB's Jelly Walker. Those guys can carry a load for sure and highlight their team and make it maybe a tournament push. And then I'm gonna stick with St. Mary's here. And there's a guy you need to know on St. Mary's. St. Mary's is an older team, but they have a freshman named Aiden Mahaney. He leads their team in scoring. He really did a good job late second half and an OT in that Gonzaga win. He finished around 20-some points that game, I believe. I don't know the exact amount of points, but he will be the guy to look out for. He makes the offense flow and everything for this St. Mary's team. So he's got to have a big tournament. Watch out for him. And then I'm going to go down here to the MAC conference, and I believe a team that's very good and has really good. They're 22-6. They're second in the MAC now. But earlier in the season, they had obviously they've had some bad losses as of late, but earlier in the season, their two losses were to undefeated Charleston team at the time and at number 2 Houston, where they only lost by 5. That is Kent State. I believe this team is very good, and a guy to look out for is Sincere Carey. This guy carries their team, averaging 16.5 a game, 5 assists. Doesn't shoot at particularly great clips, but I think he could heat up come tournament time and really put this team on his back. And they're a dangerous team to look out for.
Those are some good ones. I'm not gonna lie. All right, I struggled to do some of these as well, but you did bring up the Liberty Flames. The Liberty Flames have been led by this man, and it seems like he's just putting the load on his back. It is Darius McGee, 22.5 points per game on 16 attempted. He's shooting 45% from the field, people, though. I mean, he is shooting better than him and Max Amos are shooting basically the same, but at a different so he is shooting 11 threes per game. So he's taking a lot, but shooting 41%. So, I think he's an interesting player to watch. He is only averaging 3.2 rebounds and 2.7 assists per game, but averaging almost 2 steals. So I think he is an interesting one that everyone should be watching out for. Of course, as we said, if that Liberty team does catch fire, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he's the one leading the charge, leading by example. He's a great player. I think he's someone everyone should be watching this year, totally. And I'm struggling to find second one, Dallas. I'm trying to not pick the obvious people here. I'm trying to pick someone that I think will make the tournament and will just be so helpful to a team. I'm struggling. All right, we're gonna go with Zeke Mayo. Oh, that's South Dakota State. Gosh dang it! I thought that was San Diego State. Give me a second, guys. I'm on the fence on this guy that I'm looking at. I'm just gonna go with Jalen Will. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna help Myers' case out. Boo Buie from Northwestern has been fantastic this year. 17.6 points per game, 3.5 rebounds with 4.4 assists, and on a 41% field goal percentage. I know he's shooting 36% from three, but shooting almost 90% from the field. I think he's going to be an interesting player to watch for. I think this Northwestern team is going to definitely help. Is definitely going to step up, even though they've stepped up seemingly throughout the season. They're going to step up to another level during the tournament. So, I'd say watch for them. He's a great player. He's led the team so far this year, so he's a good player to watch. But Dallas, I know that I do this all the time, and everyone doesn't like when I do it, but I want us to set our Final Fours right now. Just take your stabs, take your wild guesses and your swings here. I don't know if I might end up referencing these later on as we get closer to the Final Four or closer to when we set up our brackets. But tell me who you have in your Final Four.
So obviously, it's really hard to set a Final Four without knowing the brackets. So I'm going to go to bracketology right now. I'm going to base my Final Four off of this bracket they have out right now. I think that's the most fair way to do it. Otherwise,
I'm going to write down the date real quick.
Otherwise, you have teams that you could play each other before the Final Four. I'm just going to base it off of this right now. And so in the South Louisville bracket, we have the number 1 seed Alabama. But I'm trying to remember who I had in the Final Four when we did this a few weeks back.
Let me go look. Give me a minute.
I do not remember exactly. So these teams might be in the same bracket.
Did I have us write a Final Four a couple weeks ago?
I think we might have. And if not, we just said it out loud. So I don't know.
I'm looking. I'm scrolling through the weeks. You weren't on last week's show. This is testing my scorekeeping abilities.
It was at least 2 or 3 weeks ago.
It's not week 18. Let's try week 16. Wasn't week.
If 19. Not, then I'll go with these.
No, we predicted the 1 through the. Nope, we predicted the Final Four. Dallas, you had Houston, Purdue, Tennessee, and Miami.
Okay, well, so give me in this South bracket. That's what I love to see. Give me Miami coming out of here to the Final Four. We've talked about them plenty of this time. I love this Miami team. I think they can get to a Final Four. I think their offense is really good. Obviously, it'd be tough because they're on the Alabama side, but I think they can get to the Final Four. Tennessee and Purdue are in the same bracket down here. I'm going to have Purdue in the Final Four. Right now, it's just hard to bet against Sakitti and Purdue. I'm sure come tournament time, I'm going to retract that statement and actually predict them to lose at some point before the Final Four. But right now, I'll stick with them in the Final Four. That'll be on that side. And then we're on the Midwest side over here. I don't see how Houston doesn't make the Final Four this year, especially on that side of the bracket right there. I think they get it done pretty easily. Obviously, Texas in the Elite Eight would be a crazy good matchup to see. And then down here in this West Side Las Vegas bracket, I'm actually going to go with I don't want to go with another 1 seed. We've had 2 1 seeds. It's already too many. Usually the 1 seeds don't make it this far. I'm going to go UCLA coming out of this bracket to the Final Four.
Interesting. I like the takes. I'm a little mad about you picking Purdue beating Kentucky, but end of the day, we'll call it what it is. I am actually going to fade the Alabama Crimson Tide. Once again, I believe they're going to match up with the tougher team. I know that there's Texas A&M. I know there's Baylor. I know there's Providence. I know all these people are talking about. But I think the Arizona Wildcats are going to be a really good team. I think they're going to have the ability to guard every position on Alabama. And I think the crucial part will be Toboilis on Brandon Miller, an experienced player playing Brandon Miller. I think they'll find a way. They'll cook up some scheme to shut him down. They did cook up a pretty good scheme to shut down Trace Jackson Davis at the beginning of the year, when a lot of people were saying that he was a possible runner for a National Player of the Year. So I have them coming out of my South. My East, I have the Kentucky Wildcats coming out of the East, actually. Looking at the road that they have ahead of them, I think they have a game plan to shut down Purdue. I think there's a game plan to shut down Purdue that's been very obviously noted the past couple of weeks. I think it's just be more athletic than Purdue. I think if you stretch the floor, you play really quick in transition, something that Kentucky's not struggled to do all year with two very good point guards, but also have shooters all around the floor. I think that's been the kryptonite of the Big Ten, is when you see a team that can shoot well, that can get into their sets quick, that can get down the floor quick. You see a lot of the time it translates to a Big Ten loss. So I see Kentucky beating their first round Boise State. I think it'll be close somehow. But then I think they're just gonna grab Purdue by the reins and not let them go. And then there's the conversation of like Creighton and Virginia. I think Creighton will be a tough game, but I could see Kentucky winning just in the sheer fact that I think Oscar Tshiebwe will probably have a day against Lightfoot. Isn't that his name?
Kalkbrenner.
Huh?
Kalkbrenner.
I think he's just gonna have a day against him. The San Diego State will probably be the toughest team, in my opinion. I could see them going all the way into the Elite Eight and Kentucky playing them. I think Tennessee will somehow lose if they face a West Virginia or a San Diego State. They're just, like we said, they're inefficient. Kansas State's been a struggle team all year, but a Michigan State matchup would be fantastic for them. But I could see Michigan State, San Diego State. So honestly, I'm riding with the Wildcats. I know I was clowned a couple weeks ago when I put them in here. I think they're a team that continues to get better. I think the biggest thing for them is that they know what it's like to lose this year. They've lost a lot of crucial games. They felt the feelings that, maybe that they're not as good as we all think they are. But I think they're going to be the one. Blue blood that finally, pulls themselves together. They probably have the best chance to pull themselves together too, just with how the team is. I know there's injuries, but they'll get healthier as the tournament gets closer. Dallas, I can't note this hot take. I'll have to see who Houston plays. But if Houston runs into Rutgers here, I would be picking Rutgers to beat Houston in the second round, because I think this Rutgers team is ridiculous. But coming out of the Midwest, I have Texas. Like we said, I think Texas is probably the best team currently. Just like Rishi said, pound for pound wise, I think they're probably the best team. They have a massive amount of depth. I think that's the thing people have understated on Texas. They're a super deep team. They're going to be a good team. They're a well-coached team, even though they lost their coach in the season. Their assistant coach has stepped in and done a great job. I think he's going to really help elevate this team to the next level. And then I've picked an 8 seed already to come. I haven't picked a 1 seed yet. That is interesting. But I think this one's probably the one where I picked the 1 seed to come out. I think it's going to be a tough road for Kansas. They'll probably, if they were playing in this, they're going to run into UConn or St. Mary's probably. They're going to run into Arkansas. So, they could get easily knocked off. But actually, I take that back. I'm going to go UCLA. I think, like Dallas said, there's a lot of confidence to UCLA. They're a very experienced team, and I think that's proven over the past few years with UCLA's 2021 run. That experience does help. You can definitely have a lot of players that help because, they're older. They know they've been to the tournament before. They've been there. And it just has sometimes that winning formula to beat those players that are younger. They know how to get in their heads. They know how to do everything they can do. So those are our final fours. And that is the SMC Guide to College Basketball in 2023. But of course, we cannot close the show out without a ball. Of course, only today, though, Dallas is playing by himself. But he could extend his record here, folks, if he does a great job. And Dallas, today's is the historic NCAA tournament performances in college basketball. I hope you're ready. Your first question, if you so willingly choose. If you don't get this one right, I'm going to yell at you. In 2012, this current Lakers player went 1 for 10 from the field, but had 16 rebounds 6 blocks, 5 assists, and 3 steals to help propel his team to a national title against Kansas. Who am I?
Just say the stats again one more time for the people.
1 for 10 from the field. 16 rebounds, 6 blocks, 5 assists, and 3 steals to win a national title in 2012 against Kansas.
People at home, it's current Laker player, 2012 national championships. I think we know why Alex put this one on here.
What? No.
It's a little Kentucky little bias here. It's Anthony Davis.
You are correct. The player is Sir Anthony Davis himself. I'm sorry, he was the first guy that popped up. I'm preparing myself to say this one. In 43 minutes of action in the 1992 Elite Eight against Kentucky, this player went 10 for 10 from the field, 10 for 10 from the line to score 31 points. But the biggest moment was when he hit a jumper from a full court heave at the buzzer. Who am I?
Oh gosh. So you said full court heave. I don't believe this was a full court.
It was
shot.
a full court heave to him. Then he hit a
Yeah.
jumper from the free throw line.
It's Christian Laettner.
Oh God, that hurt to say, but yes, it is Christian Laettner. All right, I'm really throwing you off here. In the 1988 NCAA tournament, this legendary Kansas player posted these stat lines. Against Xavier in the first round, he had 24 points, 12 rebounds, 3 blocks. Against Murray State in the second round, he had 25 points, 5 rebounds, 1 block. Against Vanderbilt in the Sweet 16, he had 38 points, 5 rebounds, 1 block. Against Kansas State in the Final Four. Oh, no, this isn't the Final Four. This is the Elite Eight, sorry. Against Kansas State, he had 20 points, 6 rebounds, 1 block. Against Duke in the Final Four, he had 25 points, 10 rebounds, 6 blocks. And against Oklahoma in the national championships, he had 31 points and 18 rebounds. Who am I?
Oof, it's tough.
Legendary Kansas player.
Yeah, that is...
You should get this one. College legend.
Trying to think of a big guy. I feel like this is a big guy. I really don't know.
You're taking an I don't know.
Yeah, I have to. I can't even come up with a name at Kansas right now.
It is the Kansas legend, Danny Manning. I knew you'd be a little frustrated at that one. If you thought that one was harder, this one's even harder. For UCLA in the 1995 NCAA tournament, an unlikely player emerged to average 17 points per game on 7.4 rebounds over the first 5 games. Then in the national championship, he sealed his fame as a UCLA player by scoring 30 points and having 17 rebounds in a win against Arkansas by 12 points. What is his name? Or who am I?
Gosh. You said 1995?
Mm-hmm.
I got nothing on this, but I have to take another I don't know because I don't.
It is Ed O'Bannon.
Yeah, wouldn't I got that?
No way. Sorry, that one was tough. So this one was meant for Rishi, but Dallas, so sorry you had to take it. In this Michigan legend in the 1989 NCAA tournament poured in 184 points in the first 5 games. Seemingly, it all came together, though, in the 1989 National Championship, where he put up 31 points and 11 rebounds. He also played for the Miami Heat.
Juwan Howard.
Is that your answer? Locking it in?
Yes.
Incorrect. There's Glenn Rice. It's okay, Dallas. It was a tough one. The first two were layups. I told you the first two were going to be easy, but the last three were some serious. Like you had to. Those were some college basketball legends. But we are done with ball, and now we are on to the hot takes. First, we will go over last week's. I had an unfortunate week in golf, ladies and gentlemen. My guy climbed the board. Will Zalatoris shot 7 under on Sunday, and came in third. So I did not win. But I got close. Meyer had Tyrese Halliburton winning the 3-point contest. His IU wins one of their last 5 is still kind of in the cards, I think. Rishi had a tough week. He had Tony double digits by next week. His XFL winners also did not hit. The under for the Seattle DC game did not hit. And then Adam had Purdue losing the next 2 games. And then they beat Wisconsin and Illinois. They did not lose their last 2 games. But the Pacers to make the playoffs, it still has a chance. But on to this week's hot takes. It is just you and me, Dallas. So whoever would like to go first, just fire away.
College basketball show today. I'm going to stick with the college basketball. I have 2 games. Leave 2 games. Let me see what day it is. Yep, tomorrow. 2 games tomorrow. I have Villanova getting another quad 1 win at home against number 19 Creighton. And I have Arkansas heading to Bama and getting a win over number 2 Alabama.
I think that's a really good take. I was looking at the game too. That's a good take. If you can give me 1 second, I need to remember what golf tournaments this week because I'm still rolling the golf. Ooh, we have the Honda Classic this week. Great. This is a weird leaderboard because there's not a lot of players that are very good in this one because a lot of these guys will not play. Who am I taking looking at the Friday rounds? It's early, so the cut is today. So I need to look what the projected cut is. Ooh, the projected cut is even. That is tough. There's some people down below even. Who am I taking? I think we're gonna take some long shots this week. Sorry, it's taking me a minute here. Some of these guys, I don't know some of these guys, so I have to putting a lot of faith in a lot of people I don't know. There's a guy at 10 under, which is tough to just be like he shot 6 under today too. We're gonna put some winners here for the Honda Classic. We're gonna go with the untested Justin Sue is gonna, he's currently sitting at 10 under. He is the leader, but I do not think he will hold the lead after today because I think there's some people that will climb the board. But there is a guy currently sitting at 3 under. His name is Cameron Percy. We're going to give him one, but I have to go 3 wide here because this is a tournament where there is a lot of names that are unknown. So you have to give everyone their fair shot here. And the last one we're going to stick with, man, these are tough. Some of these guys I don't know some of these guys. We're going to go with an older player. And I think he's going to jump the board. He's currently tied at 37th. I think we're going to go Danny Willett. I think he's a experienced player on the tour, has been around for a very long time. He could make a run late in the week. I hope so. Last week was tough to see my guy make a run on Sunday and just miss out by 3 strokes. But it's been a great show. We will be back with you possibly next week to talk about some. And if I honestly am debating next week, Dallas, if we go, I don't know. We'll have to see. I have some stuff going on, so it's going to be tough, but we might get in a show before the NFL Combine to talk about some of our players who will probably rise and fall during the NFL Combine and then prepare for the NFL Draft come up in just a few weeks. But it's been great to have you all on. Hopefully we've helped you provide some knowledgeable information for your brackets coming up soon, and we'll be back with you soon. So have a great rest of your day. And of course, go watch some sports this weekend. So see you, Dallas.
Yep.